Well, a big breakout for Bitcoin, smashing through 70k with a small pullback, but there is more upside to come. There is some big things in the wings for Bitcoin. We just got to get over this little hurdle. But what's coming? Where's the price going to be at the end of this week? And what you need to know if you're invested in this cryptocurrency market. With all that being said, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We are on our way to 30k, so we appreciate every single one of you supporting the channel right now. But with that being said, let's get into the video. So the obvious thing to start with is global money supply. There is an absolute direct correlation between the amount of money being printed and the price of Bitcoin. And you can see this pretty much where we've seen previous all-time highs, where we've seen previous bull market cycles are completely aligned to the global money supply. This continues to grow. We've seen it in a massive stimulus in China. We've seen a huge stimulus in Russia, Europe, and the US, all of which are printing money, which is driving the price of Bitcoin through the roof. Also, add to that, we are seeing huge inflows once again. iShares buying 4,368 Bitcoin on the day is absolutely wild. And we continue to see iShares, in particular, that BlackRock ETF, buying huge amounts of Bitcoin. This obviously is very, very bullish as a setup for what's coming. Now, we are now 7 days away from the US election. And in fairness, you have a very much pro-cryptocurrency candidate in Donald Trump. And I guess the opposite, or the fact that Kamala Harris hasn't specifically spoke about cryptocurrency or what she's going to do. And everything feels like it is setting up aligned to this move. You can see here, and we've touched on this quite a bit on our daily chart, but the break above the previous horizontal line from the all-time high back in 2022 is among us. We're still looking for a confirmation breakout. It's very volatile right now, but it's coming and it feels like it's there. The other thing to note, by the way, is it absolutely then sets our October move to 10.34%. There's only 1 year that we've actually seen this significantly less if it hasn't been a red month, and I think, red year, and I think there is even more to come. Now, what you can depict though from history is this sets up a 3, 4, or even 5 month cycle of positive movement in the market, of which the first may start next week with that election. So very bullish. We have, like I said, you've got M2 building, you've got positive movement in the month, and finally that break above the previous high on that horizontal line, all of which aligns to a pretty bullish outlook. Now, also, Matthew Siegel, he is over at Vanek, giving his view on, well, why Bitcoin is poised for a big move. In fact, he was talking here on Market Alerter with many other people. And again, let's listen to exactly what he had to say.
Clearly the more pro-crypto and Bitcoin candidate, and VP Harris has not said a single word on it. So one doubts whether she truly understands it. But to your question about the correlations, the most significant long-term correlations for Bitcoin are a negative correlation with the US dollar and a positive correlation with money supply growth, or M2. So clearly on the latter front, money growth has reaccelerated with the Fed pivot. That may be playing part of a role. Also some sellers exhaustion. The German government and the US government sold spitefully $2 billion worth of Bitcoin in the last couple months. That has eased, and I think the election is helping. The polls are helping.
Why'd they do that?
German government seized a couple $1 billion of Bitcoin in a crime and sold it in August because they don't like it. The correlations change over time. Over a 10-year time horizon, the NASDAQ correlation with Bitcoin is a 0.19, quite low. Over the last 3 months, it's a 0.5, and that's a 2.5-year high, and that may be keeping some allocators on the sideline because they want to see it fall. Our bet is that this is a very bullish setup for Bitcoin into the election. We saw the exact same pattern in 2020 where Bitcoin lagged with low volatility, and then once a winner was announced, we had a high vol rally as new buyers come into this market. And that's the great thing about Bitcoin, is that every day there's new buyers being born. It's kind of like the video game industry. The olds who hate it die off. The new folks are buying it. And what we think is that once the election result is finalized, Moody's is going to downgrade U.S. sovereign debt, and that could be a catalyst for Bitcoin. Yeah, it's
Some people call that fairy
it's a non-U.S. asset. It's an emerging markets asset. And while we were all hyperventilating about the election over the last week, BRICS had a conference in Russia. There's 6 new members of BRICS this year. So BRICS GDP is now greater than the combined GDP of G7. Of the 6 new members, 3 of them, Argentina, the UAE, and Ethiopia, are now mining Bitcoin with government resources. So there is tremendous urgency outside of the US to find a way to circumvent the irresponsible fiscal policy that we've been running here in the U.S. In fact, Russia announced an initiative. Their sovereign wealth fund is going to invest in a regional initiative to build Bitcoin mining and AI infrastructure throughout BRICS with an idea of settling global trade in Bitcoin. So look, someday, I don't know if it's 5 years, 10 years, Putin's going to die. We're going to look to reintegrate some of these countries into the world financial system, and they're going to be trading with Bitcoin. What are we going to be doing?
So just to summarize exactly, Michael Siegel was the head of digital asset research at VanEck, predicted Bitcoin could reach a value of $3 million by 2050 and predicts Bitcoin will become a reserve asset owned by central banks. What I thought was interesting in that interview that he gave was specifically around the Russia and bringing them back into the foray when it comes to digital assets. We are expecting the 1st of November that Russia will open the doors to mining. Now, a few people have said, well, what does this do for the price of Bitcoin? Would we see them just dump on the charts? Now, it's not like 2017 or 2021 where we had 900 and 1800 Bitcoin produced a day, respectively. 450 Bitcoin each day is the only thing produced. Now, are they going to go on the open market and buy it? Maybe, but it's going to push the price up. The reality is, if they mined every single Bitcoin that came into supply in every single day, it's still only 450 Bitcoin. It's not the biggest value. Now, when we're talking about 150K, 200K, it might become a bit more interesting. But I think for now, Russia will turn the miners on, and absolutely then the race for the most amount of Bitcoin begins. And that's why you've still got companies like Metaplanet, Japan's based investment firm, continuing to stack Bitcoin. El Salvador buying 1 Bitcoin a day, 1,000 BTC into that. And they went from a standing start at around 58K to where they sit right now. So super bullish on everything that's coming right now. And more importantly, what is about to land over the course of this week. So let's take a look at some price action. And interestingly enough, Bitcoin here did break that 70K mark. We were looking for confirmation on the daily close at 69,500. This would signify the uptrend that we got. Remember, today, European markets bought, the US bought, Asian markets tend to hold. So we'll see what that plays out like. But this is a super bullish pattern. And if you were to take it on the 15-minute, which is always worthwhile on the shorter term time frame, you can see we broke through this resistance level. We came down for the retest and then we bounced with the confirmation. So you'd argue right now, Bitcoin is poised for a nice move on the daily. If you go to the 3-day, it's looking even more bullish as we head towards that election. So expect some further institutional money. BlackRock, I believe, is going to break 20,000 Bitcoin purchase this week. I believe we're going to see VanEck and many others absolutely buy Bitcoin. They're expecting a pullback. They're expecting something to happen. I think this week we'll see 70K as I predicted exactly last week. And I think we may continue up to the $72,000 range, which would be pretty crazy. We'll be tapping on the door of an all-time high. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of the $3 million, 2050 for one single Bitcoin. Could be pretty wild. But as the election grows nearer and the weeks continue, we're bullish on Bitcoin. The price is going up. And if you want to trade it, do check out some of the links in the description for MEXC. We're giving away $8,000 worth of new user signups, as well as a 10% rebate on all of your trades on their super cheap, easy, and fair to use platform. So do check that out in the description. Until next time, thank you so much for watching the video. See you very soon. Bye-bye.